Good to go.
Okay. It is now 3 p.m., 1500 hours on December 18th, 2024 for a special board meeting of the Georgetown Divide Public Utility District. It is now called to order. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Stovall, he did check in with us. Director Saunders,
Present.
Director Thornborough,
Here.
Vice President Seaman also checked in with us, and President McDonald.
Here.
And just for the record, when you say check in, you mean they're checking that they're absent.
Correct.
How do you check in to be absent?
They just let us know they weren't gonna be here.
Oh, okay. Perhaps that's a better way to put it.
I think just say that they're absent.
I can do that.
Director Thornwell, since you did such a good job leading in the pledge in September, would you care to lead it now?
In September, well, we remember back that far.
Why are we tracking it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I remember.
Make sure you make a note of that.
Yeah, no, it's not, it's up
He's got a
here.
spreadsheet at home.
It's up here.
I actually had a spreadsheet.
Okay. This is a special meeting comment notice. Under Government Code Section 59954.3, public comment at special meetings of the legislative body is limited to items listed on the agenda. Public comment will be taken at the time the following agenda items are open for public comment by the board. And please note the guidelines of the public forum as they appear on the meeting agenda. As a reminder, under the Brown Act, the public must address all their public comments to the board, not to the staff or members of the public. Due to Brown Act limitations, the board is not able to discuss or take action on these items, not on the agenda. Public comment at special meetings of the legislative body is limited to the items on this agenda. The public forum is now open.
Well, I think we're gonna talk about the item and then open the public forum.
Okay.
So,
Consider adopting resolution number 2024, approving the MOU with American Federation of State, County and Municipal Employees, AFSCME Local 1.
yes, thank you, Mr. President. Today, we're coming to approve a finalized memorandum of understanding with we refer to as Local 1. It is the inside staff here at the district. The negotiation process began approximately December 2023 and has culminated in the document that you see before you. Some notable changes were some negotiated salary increases, an addition of a deferred comp program in the amount of $20 of a match for employees who would put up $20 per month. We have one additional holiday and 2 floating holidays. The one additional holiday is related to the Christmas, either before or after, depending on how a calendar falls. We added some language that is regarding cannabis use as a medicine, and I think those were the notable changes from the previous MOU. The previous MOU was expired in 2021, so it's been long overdue to have this new negotiation. Open it up to any questions from you guys.
Board member comments?
None.
Yeah,
Director Saunders?
except that we appreciate the staff and glad that we can get this done.
Glad it went so smoothly.
Well, maybe this is a good time. I was gonna say something afterwards, but I just wanna express my thanks to Local 1 and all of their members for showing the patience that they have in doing this the right way, the way it should have been done. So I want to thank all of them. And you pass that on to everybody.
Yeah, I
Thank
will
you.
let them know.
All right, thank you.
Ditto.
Ditto. Well, that's a good way to show the meeting. Okay, I'm with it.
We need to have more of that. Write that down.
Say brevity is the
Use that,
art
right?
of something.
It's next to godliness. No, that's
Yeah, brevity is the soul of wit.
That one doesn't apply.
Soul of wit? Okay. Without further ado, looking for public comment now. Open it up for public comment, ma'am?
Okay, from a reliable source, I've been asked to ask these questions of you all.
Mhm.
Would you mind stating your name so we have it
Okay,
for the
sure, I'm
record?
sorry, my name is Ann Cherry.
Thank you.
I've been a resident of the Georgetown Divide for 30 years, been a customer of GPUD for that long also. And, anyway, my sources told me to ask about a time and motion study that was supposed to be done with the employees of GPUD to solidify the idea of the raises that are to occur. Has that been done? Has there been a time and motion study done by an independent agency?
If you could ask all your questions and we'll answer them at the end.
Okay, very good. The next one is, apparently, you used another district that was comparable to our district here on the Divide Water District to determine the salaries the raises that you were going to give to the employees. But there are questions about this district and that it might be the same, as far as the customers, how many there are, but this particular district that you compared your district to for salaries has a lot more equipment. And so there's a lot more work done with the equipment as opposed to GPUD's, district. And that's my second question. And then, the next question is, a lot of people know that in 2018, that the salaries of the employees here was 1.6 million. This is the source that I've got that told me this. That's 2018, 6 years ago. And now with this current operating budget and the changes you're making in the salaries, it's now going to be 4 million a year. That's quite a lot more. And we want to know what is, we know that you've done a lot of work on it, you spoke about it, but we'd like a lot more information as to how come this, over, more than, 100% more than what you had 6 years ago as far as salaries. Those are my three questions.
Thank you for your comment, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I-
My name is Ann
Yeah,
Cherry.
yes,
Yeah,
Oh, and,
thank you.
yeah, thank you, Ann.
Mitch, yes.
yes, ma'am. I see a hand raised, whoever that is, 3330733.
Not sure.
Sheree? Go ahead, Sheree, you're on deck. Unmute.
Can you hear me?
We
Can you hear me? Okay,
10-4.
hang on. Wait a minute. I gotta get back to my, okay. I'm going to be sending in an email, and attached are my calculations of the potential office salaries in 5 years. 5 out of the 8 employees will be receiving salaries over $100,000 in year 5 dollars. These high salary increases will be placing a big burden on the customers for the next 5 years, unless the board finds other funds instead of the water rates to pay for these increases. Why does the longest employed office employee, only receive 3.5%, and the newest employee receives 20% increase? I sure hope that these employees will start proofreading their work and reports that go into the meeting packets in exchange for these very generous increases. Maybe the admin aides can help with this, since their job duties have been lightened over the last few years due to electronic meter readings, online bill paying, an automated phone system, and a vendor printing and mailing the bills. Think about your customers as they elected you to your board seats. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheree. Duly noted. At this time, I want to ask if there's any more public comment. I see none.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Director.
Let's close public comment first.
Now close for public comment.
I'm confused on this public comment versus discussion of an agenda item. Now, it's always been in the past, up until recently, I think, is that when there was an agenda item, the members would comment on it and discuss it and all that sort of thing. And then we would invite the public to have a discussion as well.
So it's not a discussion, it's a comment that they can make about the item, and then we can address any comments that they make. It's not really supposed to be a back and forth.
For the agenda item, that's a discussion. Okay, them making comments, just, making comments is one thing, but when you're having a discussion, how can you have a discussion if only one person is allowed to talk?
Director Saunders?
So
Hold on.
I'm not sure. Let me try to answer that if I think I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
So I don't know how it was done before. I mean, before I was here. I think our practice is to have a board discussion, staff report, board discussion, and then open up to the public like we just did.
Mhm.
Then we close public comment, and this district, I think, has made it a practice to try to respond to everybody after we get all the comments out. And when it comes back to the board, it's appropriate for that. Now, the reason why you can't get in back and forth, and I was actually discussing with Nick yesterday, I think I do a Brown Act primer, not just for the board, but for the public's information too. Because under 54952.3 or 53.2, I may have the number wrong. There's very limited exceptions to discussing something in respect to public comment. And you are allowed to do brief responses or questions to the public in terms of public comment, but you really can't get into a back and forth with the public comment. Our rules of procedure are you have 3 minutes, you can make the comment. The way we do that though, as a courtesy to the public, is we consolidate the questions or information as I think Nick was about to do, and then provide a response to based what he heard. But also in terms of efficiency, you don't want to be in situations where some certain questions or comments the board may respond to at more robustly than others. And so it's another way of making sure that all of the commenters are treated very similarly. And their public comment is given the same amount of courtesy and response as others. So it's just a way of helping with that process.
I don't think, what I think is that public comment is different than the discussion about the agenda item. Okay, I think that's different. I mean, because in public comment, we can't get into discussion with them.
Right,
Okay.
Right.
But I think that the public should be able to get their questions answered, or if they have concerns, they should be able to address them. It should be done, in a discussion format. I think there's a distinction between the public comment section and then like the public discussing their opinion on an agenda item. I think that's a different, I don't know what the terminology is, but I think that the public definitely should be able to, to discuss, give the questions to their answers and all that. To me, it seems kind of stupid, non-transparent, and a whole list of other things given a couple of weeks, I'd be able to come up with. If the public comes in and we say, okay, yeah, this is what we want to do, and the public comes in and says, and gives their comment, and then it's like, what's the point in them giving their comment? It has no effect. They can't get any answers. They can't have the discussion. I think there needs to be the discussion with the public. And yeah, it might take a little bit longer, but you can still throw a time clock on it or something.
Director Saunders?
Yeah, there is a time clock. They have 3 minutes for comments. We do not, during public comments, the board does not have the ability to discuss with the public. At the end of all the comments, we can answer questions and provide stuff, but it's not supposed to be a back and forth with the public. So we take their information, then we provide answers, then we take that input and we deliberate among us based on that. Because they also have the ability to provide their input before the meeting. So there are emails that we get from people. There are public comments that may go to the staff and then come to us. So we do get all of the information beforehand. The way that the system isn't the greatest, where we have maybe 15 minutes to hear 5 people at a meeting, but then to take that in. So I always let our customers and voters know that the best way, if you have an issue, is to provide it to us with email, so we have it beforehand and can bring it and add it to the discussion. But that's basically why we don't vote until we get public comments, because there may be a comment that does change the way we may vote, so.
And I wrote her questions, and I have answers for all of
I
her
have stuff
questions.
for too.
And I understand exactly what you're saying. You're kind of saying the same thing I am. To me, there's a distinction between public comment and discussion on a On an agenda item.
So the only discussion is amongst the board members. Typically, you're not discussing with the public back and forth, as I think is what Frank was trying to say. There's a limited amount of back and forth with the public members, in that regard. Mr. President, I do want to make a note, while this discussion is going on, I'm not trying to stifle it at all. Mr. Dowd did raise his hand right as you were banging the gavel for a public comment. And I think it would be, imperative to, maybe hear his comment now, but I'll leave that up to you.
Mr. Dowd, you ready to speak? Thank you.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if this is, my comment is for now or, because I don't have the agenda. I don't know what's going on. We got this late, huh?
You're good, you're good. You're talking about, you're at the right time, so go ahead.
Okay, all right. I got something to say. This is from a little quote from a 19th century Scottish author, Sir Walter Scott. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Remember Sanjay's rate study chart? The one I talked about multiple times? You know, the one with that showed everything is fine this year, even though we haven't had a rate increase for many years. But miraculously, over the next 5 years, that's the baby. I'm babysitting. But miraculously, over the next 5 years, the good ship GPUD starts taking on water.
Stop.
And hello?
yeah, Mr. Dowd, this is not related to the agenda item. And so we're getting off.
See, I don't, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, the agenda item is for the MOU, local one MOU adoptions. Do you have any comments related to that?
I got a comment for this. What I'm saying here, this is gonna be, it's gonna come out to that at the end. You see, I got all written out.
All right, so it's tied to the MOU?
It's tied to these salary increases.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Okay. Yes. All right, where was I? Okay, miraculously, the rate increase, we didn't increase the rates for 15. Let's see, start talking on water and is going to sink us if we don't increase the rate 15% the first year and 10% a year after for the next 4 years. That will fix the problem. The board heard of different counter proposals from Mike Thornborough and Mike Saunders. Nobody liked Mike T's first proposal over a month ago, except me. 10% with 5% for 4 years. Mike's next proposal was for 8% with 7% for the next 4 years. Only Donna Seaman was on board with that one. Next was Mike Saunders' proposal, which was voted on and passed December 12, 2024 of 10% for the first year, with an increase voted on every year after that. So we don't even know what's going to happen after that. But this rate increase was going to fix GPUD for 5 years. Well, come to find out with this surprise meeting today that GPUD wants to increase office staff salaries substantially over the next 5 years. Was this the intention of the rate increase to cover the salary increases or what? It is starting to appear this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dowd. Apologize for interrupting, but thank you for completing your statement.
If you'd like, Mr. President, I can address some of the statements, quotes,
I'll now
questions.
I'll now close for public comment. Go ahead.
Just in the interest of where my brain is at, and I didn't write it down, Mr. Dowd, I will address your comment first. These salary increases were a part of the rate study, and we will not be having additional expenses calculated further into the future, as this was already included. So the rate increase that you experience and see will not change and it includes this MOU. I believe your name was Ann, ma'am?
Yes,
And
yes.
you had a couple of questions. So first was a time and motion study. So this is a time and motion study was something that a previous board asked for. And this board voted to do what is called a salary survey, in which looks and compares a variety of agencies throughout an area. Time and motion studies are important. However, this board went a different direction than doing a time and motion. And the salary survey that was done compared I believe it was 11 agencies within the area. These 11 agencies, we found like positions based on job descriptions. We compared those job descriptions with the job descriptions that we have here with like qualifications, like job descriptions, like job classes. We looked at all those jobs. They came up with what is called a median, a number. This board made a decision to not be at the median. We are far below the median here. All of our positions are between 10 and 20% below the median for the area. The reason that this was done, and you made another, I'm going to kind of segue into your second, was comparable agencies. Some of the agencies that we compared, and I'm assuming that they're referring to, I'm just going to call them out by name, PCWA and EID. These were comparable agencies simply for the fact that if an employee here were to leave, they would be the first agencies that they would look to go towards. Now, as stated previously, EID and PCWA are at the median or above, so our employees are not making the same salaries or the same hourly rate as any of those employees, even though they are doing a similar job. We have a small job pool. They like to be close to home. They work I think 90% of the employees live in this community, so they do enjoy that. However, if they felt so inclined, they could make more money at a different agency that is the neighboring agency. You then stated 1.6 in 2018 versus 4 million today. I believe that 4 million is high. I want to say it's closer to 3. And I would say the time between 1.6 and 3 is less. We have more employees now than we did in 2018. And some of this is conjecture because I wasn't here at that time. I started a couple of years ago. And there has been additional salary increases for both of the bargaining units over that time period. So there was one that was in 2019 for local 1, and maybe the board members can help me at when local 39's previous negotiations went. I know they didn't get large salary increases, but they do get a step increase, and they get a COLA increase every year it's based upon what the cost of living is around here. And then there was a comment by Ms. Carleon in regard to some of the salaries. The comment was the oldest employee here only received 3.5%, and the newest employee here received 27%, I believe is what it is. It's not based on longevity. The salaries here are based on the salary survey. The salary survey did compare these different job description, job classes, and HR specialist is a position where she has been here for very long, and her salary is commensurate with other HR specialists within the area. The executive assistant was hired, and her position with the similar amount of job qualifications was deemed to be approximately, I wanted to say it was 46 or 47% underpaid. So obviously that it's not a tenable position for the district to be in, so we decided to go much less than that. And I believe the executive assistant position is one of the lower away from the median, around 17.5%. These are a little bit off the top of my head.
Can I ask a question? How did you measure this? For instance, the salary survey, how was that measured?
So it's all based on, there's a whole report that you can find on our website that measures all different benefits, salaries, job descriptions, what they do, how they do it, how many employees they have, how many direct reports. It's
For this particular, when you did this.
100%.
It's all
on the website, yes.
And then I know that Placer County and EID, they're much larger agencies.
Yep.
And I understand, if they lose their job here, that would be where they would go. But it is about work, what they're doing. And if they're not serving as many people as they would over at PCWA or EID, then, how come they're,
I will tell you this. Somebody who is a frontline employee, and I'm gonna say somebody who is one of our maintenance workers, one of our canal operators, one of our distribution operators, as long as they're not a lead or a supervisor position, their jobs are exactly the same as they would be here. Even the customer service agency representatives, They have no direct reports, so their work at PCWA would be the exact same work that they do here. And they would receive a higher salary. When we start to look at different differences is when we started getting into lead positions, superintendent positions, and manager positions. They have less direct reports, they have less people that are underneath them, and we took that into consideration when including these salary surveys. These were negotiated and they were vetted based on the amount of people that they serve and the amount of people that are underneath them. So that's why I said we are not at the same level as PCWA. The salaries are not even, they're not even really in the same ballpark. They're less paid. They're at least 10% less paid than PCWA and EID, and in some cases up to 20% less paid.
Here.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So relative to the average pay for the citizen in this community might seem high or extravagant or overpaid compared to the competition and where we might lose talent to or not be able to attract talent. We might be low in that category of salary to be able to retain or attract talent. Case in point, this week I happened to be in the company of a newly elected director in the Forest Hill Water District, Placer County. I learned that their district is 1/3 the size of ours, and their general manager makes 15% more, about $30,000 more, and he doesn't have to come to work every day.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so that's one data point that I just learned this week. So 15% more, 30,000, doesn't have to report to work every day. So, that would be.
That's what was agreed on in Forest Hill, you're a different entity here.
Yeah, so Director Thornburg.
Now, since the subjects have come up, I'd like to make a few comments. First of all, I think we have an awesome staff working here now. I think they're doing an outstanding job. I'm very, very pleased with them. But one thing that needs to be realized is that clear back in, I don't remember what year it was, but it was 7 or 8 years ago, there was a grand jury investigation. And the grand jury concluded that our employees at that time their salaries were much lower than they should have been compared to other districts in the area. So, and this was 7 years.
Yeah, 2017 was.
2017, okay, so 8 years ago. I want to say also that I agree, and I did raise this concern, is that when we're doing a comparison with other districts, we sure as heck shouldn't be doing a comparison with EID and PCWA. But like Nick said, there was 11 districts in there, so I did my own little calculations, and I took the 5 smallest ones that were more comparable to us, and then compared the salaries with the smaller districts, totally ruling out the larger districts and stuff. And when I average everything out, the salaries that they're getting now after this increase are still less than what the average would be for all these smaller districts. So I was satisfied in that regard. Let's see. The other thing that's kind of strange is that Local 1 only represents about what,
9
of the employees.
8,
Local 1, eight employees, Local 1. Months ago, this board approved the MOU for Local 39, which is our entire outside crew. And
About 17 there.
yeah. Really large crew, 17, and nobody balked at that. Nobody said anything about it.
Nobody being who?
Public.
The public.
Yeah, the public.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I think it's, I don't think it's right to be raising all this concern about, our inside employees, and you weren't concerned at all about the outside employees. To me, that just, yeah.
Okay, I'm concerned about all the employees.
Huh?
I want them to all make, good salary.
Right, and that's what they're gonna do, and I anybody that knows me knows that if there was issues, then I would be all over it. So I did have issues with 39 at that time, but not for the salary reasons or anything like that. But, you know, I'm fine with it. I went in depth to the salary survey to see. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
So that kind of explains my question, 1.6 to 3 to 4 million increase, because of just you're comparing other agencies and the cost of living and the job situation.
Well, I question if that's that much of a difference, because I can't believe it's that much of a difference.
Yeah, that's like,
We also added several employees, so that's a lot of it as well. There's one new manager, there's, executive assistant position was added. And then there's, two, outside lead positions that we converted two, operators to lead positions. So things have changed since then. The org chart is not the same. I want to say there was 21 to 22 FTEs at that point, and I believe there's 25 to 26 FTEs at this point.
Well, and the other thing is that they have been getting a cost of living increase every year.
Mhm.
so that would be, so there's 15% more employees and the cost of living's up about 15%.
That maybe accounts for
Quite a bit of it, if those numbers are accurate.
the more employees.
Director Saunders?
Yeah, also, so, these studies went out probably in 2022. And at that time, we did ask for a time and motion and salary survey, and nothing came back with the time and motion, so that's why it didn't occur. It was, these studies came through during COVID, and a lot of people weren't responding to PRA requests, and then when everybody came back, everything was flooded, so it took a long time for studies to come back. With the salary survey, you probably do that every 10 years to find out where you want to be with salaries and make sure you're at least close to the median. And when you looked at the study, GPUD was the lowest out of all the 11 we did, and even bringing it up close to median, we're still the lowest paid employees. So even though we're 10 to 20% below the median, we're still the lowest paid for our employees. The other thing is when we, all of the salaries, the reason you do the salary survey and the board comes up with the negotiation and agreement is all of the information from the salary survey went into the Prop 218, so it's built in, so the Prop 218 covers salaries for the next 5 years. So there's no further increase needed outside of the 218 to cover the salaries.
I just, Director Saunders, I don't mean to cut you off, I'll totally let you go, but I just wanted to clarify something. The salaries for this current year are 2.1 million, 2.185 million. So 1.6,
2024?
that is correct.
Yeah. So that would,
I think the 4 million you're looking at has a lot to do with, retirement benefits, other things that we don't have control over. So that's a different number, and I would say 1.6 to 4 million is not apples to apples. It's more of an apples to oranges comparison.
and it's along the lines where 15% more employees, 15% in CPI, that's 30% on 16 million, that's your 2.1 million.
Okay.
And also, I'll finish. I mean, we're not really supposed to talk with the public here, so,
I'm fine with it.
so,
Well,
it's a Brown Act violation, so I'm not fine with it. So we're at, 2.4 million, I think, when we put in the increases.
No, 2.1. That includes.
For next year, it doesn't go up to 2.4?
For next fiscal year?
Yes.
I mean, we would do math at that point, but for this coming fiscal year, yeah, you're probably pretty close, because it's about 2.2. It's a little under 2.2, and then 150, yeah, so you're probably close. Maybe
And then-
closer to 2.3.
And I believe it was, what did we come up with the calculation? It was about, a 15 to 30% increase overall over the 5-year period. Isn't that what we came up with in
I
terms
have
of?
to go back and look,
increase?
but it sounds right.
So I think it's like a 15 to 30% from now till the end of the 218. It's a 30% if you include this. The other thing we did was, we did look at the impact where we can't go up at, if one person is 11% or 10% or 27%, we couldn't put that impact on at 1 year. So the negotiation was to divide that up between 3 years, so it doesn't go up all at once. It's over 3 years, and after the 3 years, there's no more increase for the next 2 years, so it's built in, the increases are kind of spread out to help us maintain a decent budget. And the last 2 years, there's no more increase other than the cost of living, so it also does help us at the back end of our 218 stabilize, so that's another thing that we've looked at seriously in terms of our negotiations with this.
Can I ask a
Okay, this,
quick question?
go
What
ahead.
was the cost of living increase for this last July?
3.8, I believe, 3.7, 3.8, something like that.
No, the cost of living closer to 2.9, 2.8.
No, it was, we do it based on the west region. It's a specific
The one
number.
that's based into.
Okay.
actually
The San
increases
Francisco, I don't know how they,
Well, that's more representative.
yeah,
fine.
it's 3.8 approximately.
3.8.
Yeah, that's what,
Thanks.
I got the number from her, so I was relaying it.
So the local CPI, not the,
It has to do more with California than. the
Obviously, we got it from the eavesdropper.
okay, so at this point, I'd like to ask if there's a motion to,
I make a motion that we pass this MOU for local one.
Second,
seconded by Director Saunders. All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye. Any opposed? None.
Three of us.
None opposed?
Let that ask.
Motion passes unanimously, 3.0 to 0. Approving the MOU, local one. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, I think.
I'm gonna get a motion to adjourn.
second,
It is your last
All in
one.
favor?
aye.
Aye. My last.
Last
This will be your
one.
last-
Last one.
All in favor?
Last one.
Motion to adjourn passes.